All right, guys and gals, thanks for joining me one more time for a Bible drill where we talk about the parables of Jesus. We've talked about 10 or 12 parables thus far, and we want to look now at what was one of the final parables that Jesus told to his disciples. And it's found for us in Matthew the 25th chapter. The disciples had come to Jesus, and they had asked him to talk about the end times. You know, what can we look forward to? What's that going to be like? Can you give us some kind of an indication as to what's going to go on? Well, in Matthew chapter 25, Jesus tells the parable of the 10 virgins. He tells a story here about 10 young ladies, 5 of which were one thing and 5 of which were another thing, and he uses that to illustrate just really one important point in this parable. So let's talk about this parable. Jesus talks first of all about 5 girls who were wise. Do you remember in this parable, what was it that made these girls wise? That's right. They were there and they were prepared for the wedding feast. They were there waiting for the bridegroom to appear, and they were prepared. They had their lamps and they had their oil, and they were there ready to stay for however long through the night was necessary until they arrived and until that began. The point is, they were prepared. On the other hand, Jesus says there were 5 other girls, and they were considered foolish. And what was it that made them foolish? That's right. They weren't prepared. They weren't ready. They didn't bring enough oil in their lamps, and as a result, their lamps weren't going to burn throughout the night, and they weren't going to be ready to meet the bridegroom when he came. Now, Jesus says that the wise girls, because of their readiness, because they were prepared, they ended up getting to do what? That's right. When the bridegroom came, they got to enter. They got to go into the marriage feast. They got to enjoy all the privileges and the blessings of getting to be there and to celebrate when the bridegroom came. Now, on the other hand, what happened to the foolish girls? What was their fate? That's right. Jesus says they got shut out. They got left outside. They're knocking on the door saying, hey, let us in, but it's too late now. They weren't prepared. They didn't get themselves ready so that they could be able to go in and enjoy the marriage feast. Now, all of that is really designed to make just one point, and it's summarized in verse 13. As Jesus ends the parable, he says, be ready. Be ready. Because you know neither the day nor the hour when the Son of Man comes. And the point is that Jesus is the bridegroom. In that story, that's who Jesus represents. He's the bridegroom. And Jesus is one day going to return. And the truth is, we don't know when that's going to be. It could be today. It could be next week. It could be 10 years from now. It could be 100 years from now. We just don't know. But the point that Jesus made to his disciples then, and the same point that he makes to people today, is regardless of when that day comes, we just need to be ready at all times. And so the question is, are you wise or are you foolish? It all comes down to whether or not you're ready to meet Jesus. Thanks so much for listening.